Yo, what is up, everybody? In light of Marvel Rivals Season 2.5 dropping as of yesterday, in terms of making this video, I decided to make a video on the new character, that of course being Ultron, everyone's favorite strategist, who might even have the DPS characters switching to finally do something useful for once in their life. This video will be kind of brief overlook at his abilities and what I overall think he can bring to the table. This is of course not a professional assessment. I am by no means a professional player. However, I have both seen high-level players as well as low-level players, as well as myself. Is probably a good medium between the two. Play this game as Ultron, and I will say that he is definitely a more interesting character. First and foremost, his healing is pretty negligible. A lot of times, people will not realize that you're healing them. Especially in the higher tiers where you can get focused down really fast. However, he makes up for this with his ability to never have a cooldown on his abilities, so you can always switch quickly between people. I will say though, he has no self-sustain. So this is another reason why you're going to need other strategies. Ultron cannot sustain himself aside from getting really close to the people he's healing. And to do that, you really have to put yourself in danger. When positioning yourself as Ultron, it's always best to stay, I'd say, about 6 meters off the ground and behind your team. Now you're gonna see me fly forward a lot. That's because I'm more used to playing Vanguard, I believe they're called in this game. Yeah, I typically play characters like Penny, or I play backline skirmishers such as Black Panther. That's a bit more of a habit on my end than it is a full T on Ultron. This is gonna take us to his weapon, and now that I see it in front of me, his Unibeam, I think it's called. Whatever the Stark team thing, it's garbage, alright? That thing don't do no damage. I know it also heals. The healing's pretty alright. Especially in tandem with his regular ability. You can actually sustain someone for a little while. But it's gonna make a decent difference, but not too big of one. I have the ability to talk about his ultimate later, don't worry. But in terms of his regular fire, it's really all or nothing. It's like, I call it the gamble beam because about 2/3 of his damage is in that final little bit there, if I had to guess. So you're really not doing any real damage until that final hit. But it's going to be so hard to land that because people are strafing, especially in higher tiers. And in lower tiers, a lot of people just don't have the aim to actually central their focus on someone for that long. Because it takes about 1.3 seconds to maybe like 1.75 seconds for the whole thing to go off. And keeping your focus on someone for that long is actually kind of an ordeal. Even especially for like mobility characters, so even people like Hulk can be pretty difficult with the amount of times he can jump. And but I'd say if you can like consistently get it off, this is probably gonna be in those tiers like Platinum, where people haven't necessarily mastered their movement, and you're getting pretty good with your own aim. That's when that Unibeam is really gonna be hitting. But aside from that, it's even if you hit that final little bit, or if you hit the full beam, it's just not going to do the best damage, and you're really gonna be put in a tough spot because he has that animation before and after firing that really slows down his DPS, and you only get 6 shots. So this is where I'd say his movement comes in handy. Every time you use that movement ability of his, I believe you get about 100 extra health, A quick burst of movement in whatever direction you are currently moving, not the direction you're looking. This is important as you can dash backwards back to your team really quickly. As well as get a little extra boost in health. I'd say use this if you're on controller and have gone a little too high in that Hela or that Iron Man. As you're going to see, Iron Man is a very big problem for Ultron because he can very much out DPS you. As you saw there, I hit every bit of my beam on him. We saw each other at about the same time, but because that animation came in, you're just gonna lose every time. So use that to go down and back. Not always behind your vanguard as they're typically on the front line, but I'd say in between your supports and your frontline skirmishers. Aside from that, his overshield, put this on the vanguard if there's no central point on your team. The reason for this is, you can only, in that situation, you can only really focus one guy, and the bonus health and healing is more important on the guy that's meant to be taking all the damage than it is on someone who's supposed to be flanking around the other team. If they're behind your team, probably not taking that much damage, and it's going to be more costly for you to put yourself in a dangerous situation rather than, hey, that guy's right in front of you anyway, he's taking damage. Put this here, and in doing so, you can probably get your, I wouldn't say more agile, because I'd say Ultron's like actually pretty agile, but like more self-sustaining, so like strategist to get angles on those other people that actually need it. And you can have maybe your other one if you're running 3 support, like an absolute piece of poo, to, sorry about that, to actually get the burst healing off of people who don't really have, like, the health that they can, like, sacrifice any bit of damage for. Because, like I said, his healing is slow, but constant. That's, like, the one upside to it. I'd still like to see it in a buff, and this actually takes us perfectly to his ult. I've heard some people say it's bad at doing damage. You're gonna see later that it's not so much damage as it is pressure. I'm gonna block my heal there, doesn't really matter. It's not so much about like the damage as I feel like it's the pressure. It's a momentum ultimate, kind of like Bucky, but in a support, if you get what I'm saying. Not so much the fact that you can just keep doing it again and again and again, but the fact that it has like multiple bursts that you can kind of take advantage of, like, choice. So if you see other team is kind of like holding, I would say use the first burst or first 2 bursts on your own team. That way there's no room for the other team to actually like swing back and counter, and they're full, and then immediately apply the next 6 to the enemy team to kind of get the cleanup and really make sure that their healers are slowing down and putting themselves in more compromising positions or just flat out dying, because they don't have that choice of really ignoring their team or moving. It's either move or like get the team, and either way they're gonna be set back I'd be like 20 seconds just for the reset. So it's really to like hold down the team there and keep them at a safe distance that you can kind of keep them out. It does come back extremely fast. That's the best part of it, and something I feel like if they do buff any other part of his kit, his ultimate is going to take the hit just due to how fast it naturally charges. As should it charge any faster, through his healing alone, or even his damage, it might become a bit of a problem there, so I'd say keep an eye out for that. Then again, Marvel Rivals have been known to just buff a character and then just not do anything to bounce them, such as Hawkeye, and this is a good leeway into counters, which we kind of touched on earlier about talking about Iron Man, but yeah, characters like Hawkeye, Iron Man, if you kind of like have a habit of moving forward, as I do. Here's that ult situation I was talking about earlier, by the way. But like Iron Man, I would say Hela, of course, the anti-air nuke herself. I would say, yeah, Hawkeye, Hela. Iron Fist, I haven't had a problem with them yet, but you can very much get surprised and taken out very quickly by Iron Fist. Like, because your Unibeam, very bad close range DPS. It's really low for what it is. I'm sure other counters will rise up. Maybe, ironically enough, even Adam Warlock with how, if your aim is good enough due to how quick his burst damage can be. Aside from that, I guess more time will tell. I've had a few problems with Scarlet Witch, since they can easily move around your Unibeam with their invincibility, as in my first game of Ultron, actually, a Scarlet Witch, the moment before you'd have that high burst, she would actually just disappear, fly up to me, throw her LT or left click, whatever it is on PC, I don't know, and then use her suck beam to just take out my health. And because I have no sustain, and that time I was just in the back line just trying to play it safe, no one can really support me without turning around. Then again, no one was turning around because we had 3 people in our back line, so maybe that was it, as my attention was really averted. But all around, I'd say he's a decent hero, definitely going to be best in mid ranks. And that's all from me. Hope you guys leave a like and a comment down below if you enjoyed this video and want to see more Marvel Level content like this. Bye bye.